Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tiger's Den Live. I'm your host, Will Figueroa. And as always, we're joined with the founder of ClevelandRain.com, the man who created the Tiger Framework, Paul Routhier, and our special guest. Paul, how are you?
I am doing great. Good something. Is it evening, morning, or night? I'm not sure.
Well,
Uh,
depending on who's watching, right? Good
I,
morning.
I
Good
guess. I
afternoon,
guess.
good evening.
But things are going great. Well, how are you?
I'm doing really well, and I'm really excited to have our special guest. She's right there in the middle with us. This is Kim Milliken, 35 years with the Fortune 100 travel company, a travel expert in her own right, many years in the industry. She is hands down a customer experience expert. And the coolest claim to fame, and we were just talking about it pre-show, was that post-COVID, she was the PM and liaison for the government of St. Martin for a multi-million dollar contract dealing with hospitals and making sure people are okay, and exactly what we speak about here at the Tigers Den, making sure that people are aligned with their mission, vision, and values. It's so good to have you on, Kim. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good to see you guys.
It's good to see you. Good to have you. We've been trying to have Kim on. This is just for transparency for the show. We've been trying to have Kim on for a while, but being that Kim is the travel expert, Kim travels. Kim travels to see her family. Kim travels for business. Kim travels. Kim is hands down the expert in it. She tries a bunch of different products, whether it's flight, cruise, tour, whatever. She's all over the place. She really is a true expert in really understanding the customer service experience. And we thought of no one better who really embodies the Tiger mindset, right? Tenacity, inspiration, generosity, execution, and rejuvenation. There was no one better that we could think of for this episode as we speak about our upcoming event than Kim. I'm gonna start actually with Paul. Paul, we've been working on this event now for a long time.
Yes, we
Uh,
have.
Behind the scenes, if you haven't already done so, head on over to clevelandrain.com/toxic. Paul, why don't you talk to us about the title, where it came from, and what are some of the benefits? What are some of the things that people are going to get out of this event?
Oh my gosh, benefits. There's so many benefits.
There's a ton.
Just showing up is going to be a benefit. But um, the benefits are toxic employees. Toxic, man. I've 35 years in an industry that is just loaded with people who are misaligned or don't understand company goals, mission, and values. It's amazing how horrible it can get in a company and in the ecosystem. It's just it tears things apart. People are doing the wrong things, or they don't even know what they should be doing, and they're frustrated, and they
Right.
just want to go home, right? So, and it's abundant, and with the pandemic, it has just gotten so much worse. When they're forced to go in, or even if they want to be at home and they can be at home, then they get disconnected from the company's culture. They
That's
get
right.
disconnected from the people, and it's just crazy. So the benefits of going this is to understand your employees, to understand yourself, your vision, your mission, and really what your values are as an entrepreneur, so that you can make sure that you have employees that are aligned with it, both on board, and as you're bringing people on board, they get aligned with it.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. It's one of the reasons why we're calling it toxic. It's actually short for we're calling it how to avoid paying the new hire tax. And tax is an acronym, and it's for toxic, asshole, and expensive employees. Because that's what happens when employees aren't aligned with mission, vision, and values. And from the top all the way down to the bottom, it becomes toxic. So head on over to clevelandrain.com/toxic and register for your seat. It's going to be an all-day event. Bring your cohort, your colleagues, your company. Bring the people who are at the seat of your table so that we can help you align all of your employees and your team and everything else. So with that being said, Kim,
Yes.
oftentimes when that customer service experience is broken, it's because people have become toxic. What are some of the things that you've seen in the customer service experience where you know they're not in alignment, and they're totally becoming that toxic asshole and expensive employee? What are some of the behaviors that have come up in your experience where you're like, yeah, these are the red flags that you need to watch out for?
I think first of all, again, listening to Paul is always insightful with his, knowledge, but it's amazing, right? Walk into a company or walk up to an employee and say, what is your vision? And start out with that. And if they can't recite it, they're not on the same page. I find that as I have a wide range of background, I found those people that felt empowered, those people that felt appreciated and were aligned with the leadership. They don't cost you money because they come because this is their career, and making them feel valued is so utterly important in today's world. We talk about post-pandemic, we talk about pre-pandemic, and we now have to deal with those people working remote and those working in brick and mortar. And how do you make sure that they're all aligned and that they want to be there for you? And, at the end of Tiger is rejuvenation. And I think, you got to go through it all. You got to inspire them. We have to execute, set up your goals. And I think our workshop will bring together the people that they haven't really thought about this, right? They're just so eager to get employees and to fill bodies that they forgot about getting the right ones. And if you get the right ones, you won't be on this constant Ferris wheel of putting people in place and training as you talk about the money. So I think, we got the right group here that's going to get you to that rejuvenation, right? And I am excited. I worked on the island of St. Martin, as you introduced, and it wasn't about, it's difficult. It wasn't about the pay. It was about making everyone feel important and heard. And that's, Paul's done that for 30 years in his business. And I've had, I worked it, and it's amazing what you can get out of people when they just know that they're in alignment with what your mission is and what your why is. And we'll help you get there.
Yeah, 100%. Paul, what are your thoughts? I feel like you're itching at the teeth in your eyes.
I want to say something. No, Kim brought up a great point.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn last week because they saw our ad for the toxic employees. He reached out. He says, that's interesting because I'm doing just the opposite. I'm trying to get employees to deal with their toxic asshole employers. And I was like, exactly, because there's misalignment. It's interesting. Employees do the same thing as employers do. They hire on to put a paycheck in their pocket, not caring what the company's about, who the company's about, what the owner's about. I made this mistake with a VP position a while back. I needed a job that was local, that didn't travel. This was a few years ago because my wife travels and all that good kind of stuff. So we decided we need one person at home. And so I went out and, every job I was looking at was, VP of sales, but high travel, 52% travel, 82% travel, 90% travel, 120% travel. It was crazy. And I'm like, no, I need something local.
Yeah. So
the first company that reached out to me or that I got in contact with that offered me that level of position without travel, I gobbled it up. I ate it. It was like, ooh. And when I got there, I was completely misaligned. It was the worst experience running a sales team under an employer that didn't understand his mission, didn't understand his values, didn't have a vision.
Yeah.
Right. It was like the employees, I remember we had this company meeting and he got up and he said, this is what we're going to do this year. And that was it. It was like a 10-minute meeting. And that was his explosive vision for the year. And the employees were just sitting there. So I ended up getting up and doing my vision for the company for the year.
Yeah. And
then he almost fired me because of it, because he took me out to lunch and he said, I should have done that. That was my job. And my response was, well, why didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't you share your mission, vision, and vision with them. And his response was, well, I don't know what it is yet. That's a problem. That's where you end up with toxic employees.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're the toxic employer because you don't have your shit together, right? You don't know where you're going. You're just out there to grab a quick buck, and you have no vision for your company. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't have an exit strategy. You don't have a yacht in the Philippines that you want to go buy and live on once you retire. You don't have an exit strategy to sell off to, Cisco or, whoever.
Right.
You don't have a vision. You don't have anything. You just ended up going out, found a product, and said, hey, I can sell this and make some money. Now let me get some people in front of it, but I've got nothing to incite employees. Dudes, that time is over. Okay? Yeah. This is 2023.
Mm-hmm.
The people coming into the workforce need vision. They need to feel like they're part of something. They need to feel like they are participating and will be part of that exit strategy.
Yeah.
They need to feel empowered, not employed.
Yeah.
And I think you said a good point that Bosch should have taken you to lunch and said, thank you. That's really nice.
Really.
I think, and being out in this world that I've been in and traveling. And again, I worked with a medical company, and we did it was called Return to Sports for the Southeastern Conference. And it was 14 schools. And I think it's important to know that I would work beside people that were getting paid double what my nurses were, but loved working with me and knew that every day that they had a job, I was there. And I worked alongside Disney, and I worked alongside Netflix, and they were coming out of California, and they said, Kim, your girls are making $30 an hour. Mine are making $80. And I said, because I'm just not a leader. I surround myself, like you two, with intelligent people, because it makes me look ridiculously smart. And if you aren't threatened by that, and you let them know that they've got a stake in the game, that's how we have to employ our people now, because our millennials, Gen X are so intelligent, but the older work group, like myself, we were taught in a different era, right? You don't call in sick, and let's meld those two and be a really cohesive group that just rules the world. And that's what our workshop will show you, how to get that, facilitate that. So you don't have to be on this round robin. I sit on an airplane and all I hear is, I can't find workers. I can't find workers. And then I ask what they do. And you've got a perfect point. Well, what do you tell them when you're employing them? What are you telling them that you want them to do? There's too much opportunity out there for these kids. You got to get the right ones.
Yeah, for sure, Kim. And you spoke about the next thing I really wanted to touch base with you on, which was your experience over in St. Martin. Talk to us about some of the amazing moments that when your team was in alignment. You kind of teased it already, but talk to us about when that team is in alignment. What was done from day one to really all the way through? Talk to us about that experience and what happens when you do have a team that truly is in alignment with mission, vision, and values of the organization.
And it speaks to itself, because you become this working group of people that are, we could put in anyone into the hospital situation. And this is very important. I don't mean to digress, but we had to go into the hospital in the beginning before we built our hospital, our temporary outside ICU bed. And we had to work with the culture of the St. Martin people. I have a special place, love it. We'll go back. They're most amazing people. But, you come from, again, you're not aligned. They're a culture and we're a culture. And what happened is, when you went in and you went to lunch break and you went out, you start talking about what their vision is. And I don't mean to continue to say it, but when you ask them about themselves and you care about them, we became one solid group. And it's just, what did I see? And what happened is, people would work extra. They didn't ask when they were clocking in and clocking out, because they felt it, right? They lived it. It was something that they wanted to do. And It wasn't just because we were taking care of people. It was because you cared about the person that was coming on the shift behind you, or the person that you were relieving. You were cognizant of what they needed, and it didn't become work. It became a group of people that were there because it was the right thing to do. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's funny that when I'm in these positions and I work with these people, we did the testing for Netflix and we did the testing for Disney. And it's amazing when you are a group that can just work side by side, and it just becomes like family. And if you know what you set the expectations and the boundaries, and you let them tell you what I want to discuss, is you want to be able to give them input on that. Paul may be the man that's got 30 years of experience, but I may have something different. And when you start listening to people, validating them, and just saying, I went to this school and I know better, and that's my degree. It doesn't cut it anymore with today's people and generation. We have to appreciate them, and we've got to make them feel valued. And that's what I did on the island. And that's why I didn't want to leave. Was there.
An amazing experience. Paul, she's really teasing some of the processes that you really formalize. Can you speak to that? Can you speak to what you see in that, and what others will be able to walk away with when they join this webinar or this workshop?
Yeah, it's amazing because Kim talks about inspiration, right?
Yeah.
They're inspired because they are aligned. I mean, when you're not hearing this song in the background, right? When you're aligned and everybody's rowing in the same direction, and you're all so geeked to do the same thing. I mean, look at the mission that's there, right? The mission is to save people. The mission is to come together and to help people be out of their situation. Okay, and all these people come in, and honestly, Kim, it's fulfilling, right? I mean, your heart's fulfilled. Well, when you're aligned with your mission, vision, and values of the company that you're working for, and you're inspired, it fills your heart.
Yeah.
And that's what all these kids are looking for.
Right.
They want something that they can hold close to their heart. And it's not the old days. It's not the old days where we owed to, swinging the sledgehammer, chucking it down, and thank you so much, sir, for my paycheck. Overtime for half the pay? Yes, let's do that. That sounds great. That stuff's gone. Okay, it is absolutely gone. What is there is, and Kim's other point. Let's separate values from value. Okay, values. But what Kim said was that they felt valued.
Right.
When you are aligned, right? When you're aligned around mission, vision, and values, it is a gateway. It is a highway for upper management to celebrate the value of their employees, because they see the alignment and they see the buy-in, and they see the tenacity in which their employees are working with because of that alignment and those value systems, and their heart is filled when they go home.
And I think it's important to say we see it if you're a sports fanatic like I am, you see it in the sports world, that when you are aligned and when you all understand what the end game is and you don't have someone breaking off, it's successful. And it melds in it. All of my workers on the island, I had 30 of them, it made their relationships better, right? I mean, all of this, your Tiger framework can be part of your personal life, and so I think it's important. We all go off to work, or we may stay home and work, but when you feel fulfilled, as you said, and this is what our workshop will be, and you've got the right people, everyone goes home and everyone benefits. Will, you're a great family man and a man of faith. And so no matter what you believe in or how you live your life, it affects you internally. And that's why we've got to fix and help people that are struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, speaking about people, who are the people that really should be coming to this workshop? Is it the startup guy? Is it who is the demographic that would really benefit the most?
You know, I, a lot of enterprise level companies have their mission, vision, and values out there. I'm not going to speak to how they actually live them, but I think this is primary for the mid-sized small business startup company, micro business who's just getting started. I mean, to get started from here will ensure your success and ease your turnover and training. I mean, ultimately, if you're hiring based on a set of mission, vision, and values, and you're using those optics to both advertise for your positions, to analyze the people that the candidates that you're bringing on board, and to judge and analyze the people performing in the company. If you have a lot of people in the company, you may find that you're doing some jockeying of positions, because now you suddenly realize that, Joe, he's not living to these values. Okay,
Right.
we've all as a company agreed to these values. He's not living up to them. Maybe this isn't the right place for him. And you start jockeying that. But as you're bringing people on board, as an early startup, you start aligning based on that. I'm going to take a step back here and talk about the pandemic a little bit. There were tons of companies that went through stress with employees. They had to move employees off site.
Oh yeah.
They ended up not getting the revenue that they needed, so they had to eject some employees. And there were a certain set of companies. That asked their employees to take a pay cut. Okay, and that takes a set, right, to do that. So, but those employees did it, and come to find out, it was because they were so inspired by the company's mission, vision, and values that they believed in the company itself, and they believed that the company would make it through the tough times because of the alignment in those mission, vision, and values. So they were willing to take the pay cut for a certain amount of time to stay on board with that company instead of losing that job in that alignment, to try to go find something different that they were just as well aligned in.
Mhm.
There's a story there.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not loyalty. It is alignment. Loyalty is a misplaced word when it comes to work. It's alignment. We are working towards the same thing. I am not loyal to you. I'm working with you to accomplish the same thing. It's different. It's a misplaced word. So those companies just start up. You're just getting ready to open your company. This is perfect for you. This is going to help you get aligned. And to Kim's point, this is also about the employee, right? Because for me to align with the company's mission and values, I have to understand my own mission, vision, and values.
Right.
How many people actually understand their own mission, vision, and values? What is my vision for my life? What is my mission? Okay. And what value set do I actually go by? Is it Judeo-Christian value set, or is it my value set? Okay. Is it any other religion's value set, or is it my value set? Or how have I merged those religions into create my own value set to be who I am? And then I'm going to go out and find work. I'm going to find a job. I'm going to find a career. And I really would like to hire onto a company that aligns with the way I think. So
Yeah, and that sounded so pivotal to the experience that Kim had. Kim, talk to us about when the days are long, the minutes seem like hours. How important was that alignment, and what were people thinking in regards to their scope of work, what was going on? I'm sure it had to be critical.
I mean, it was everything, right? And I think first I want to digress, because I've known many people that have tried their vision, their mission, and their value, and they could come off of this webinar and go write it, but did they really know what it means, right?
Right.
That's what our workshop's going to be. It's imperative that you really. I've worked for a very high level company that has a mission statement, but they don't live it. So now it becomes a mockery by the employees. So you can have it on your bulletin board, you can have a big poster of it, but if it isn't if it's not transparent and authentic, then it's not really felt. And I think on that island, the fact that we were all so cohesive and knew our game plan and knew what the vision was, knew our exit plan, and we're doing it and as a symbiotic company and team, and valued every day. If you needed off, I mean, the flexibility was because we all were doing the same thing for the right reason. And that became, you know, on the times that we unfortunately would lose people, you know, we got together and we knew where to go and how to release that and how to discuss it. And that was because we set those expectations and we had that mission. And yeah, it was a team that we still, to this day, we were all a bunch of people that came together, hired, and became family. And still I get to this day, hey, Kim, when am I working for you next? I'm like, let's talk to Paul.
Yeah, Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
I'm going to bring this to Kim and my favorite subject.
Go ahead.
Football. So think about this. Kim, I'm going to ask you this. What is the most important thing on an NFL football team besides having big name, you know, quarterbacks and all that? What is the most important thing for a football team?
To be aligned. I mean,
cohesion.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what we said. It's got to. I mean, and it is so simple, but it's not done, right? Yeah. These companies, and we talk about it. People are probably watching or listening and going, "Yeah, I know this. No shit." Well, how are you implementing it? You know, and that's what this workshop's going to do. How do you get everyone on board? And again, I am a firm believer, and this is just Kim speaking here. Everyone has a talent set and everyone's good. And that was something I found on the hospital. I mean, even with my group that I brought to the island, you may not be best at this position, but you have value and I've spent money on you. And so I find where they fit. I'm not a big person about letting people go unless you've literally done something so egregious that it can't be reversed. Everyone has a talent set. And maybe that's why I relate into when I found the Tiger framework. It's, it's a tiger doesn't back down, right? A tiger is always looking to succeed. They don't sit still. And I think when you think of the Tiger framework, we have rejuvenation at the end, which is 100% true. But it's about believing in the people. It's about in that cohesion on that football team. And again, for the people that are going to come to the workshop, it's about taking those ideas and putting it into a way that you can use it and make it work for your company.
You know, I love that you brought Tiger into that, and the actual Tiger, because one of the things that is inspiring about the Tiger is that is almost one of the most supportive animals to its offspring.
Okay.
The Tiger Cubs. So it is tenacious, and the Tiger is inspiring, but it's also generosity. And by the way, if you're a gazelle, it'll execute. And, and they really like to lay around and rejuvenate. So yes.
That's right. Paul, what if I'm the employee and I'm noticing my colleagues are really taking on this toxic behavior? Maybe they're becoming really annoying or really just becoming an asshole employee. What if I'm the employee who sees it? What if I'm one of the lone employees, much like you were talking about, where maybe I want to take on the mission, vision, and values and be able to provide it up? What are some ways that I can do that? What are some ways that I can professionally go to my boss or go to my my team leader or my manager and say, hey, you know what? Like, we may be a small team, but I'm watching this and it's really inspiring me to do this. What are the next steps? How can that employee, outside of having that conversation, or maybe inside that conversation, what do they say? How do they bring it up? How can you professionally bring up the new tax as an employee in order to avoid that, in order to clear it out?
Wow, that's a really good question, Will. That's a barn burner.
I'm gonna let you answer, but I'm gonna tell you, as a self-motivated individual, if I came across this and wanted to come to hear Paul and to hear us speak, the investment in yourself is invaluable again. And so he's going to answer your question. But as I sit and listen to you, knowing what they're going to get out of it, it is great for your business. It is even better as a personal employee, right? You need a vision, you need a mission, and you need a value. And I didn't mean to step on your soapbox. But that when you talked like that, Mr. Will, who's amazing, if I am thinking about moving forward in 2023,
Yeah.
the investment in this workshop is going to there. You're not going to lose your money. You can't. Not with the value that we all bring into it and what you're going to learn about yourself. So go ahead, Mr. Routhier.
Thank you, Miss Milligan. So it's a great question from a couple of perspectives.
Yeah.
Number one, to Kim's point, to figure out your own mission, vision, and values, which you can absolutely get out of this workshop. It'll be pointed at business, but it'll definitely go. It's one in one. But how powerful it is to see. There is the state of complaint, right? There's the state of being miserable, and misery loves companies. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And that miserable employee will go around and pull everybody else down with them. I mean, it's kind of the definition of a toxic workplace. Okay. So, but if you understand your mission, vision, and values, and the company doesn't have any, then that's a great conversation to have with your CEO.
Yeah.
Mr. CEO, what is our vision? What's your vision for this company? I've asked this in so many CEOs that I've worked for. It's not even funny. What's your vision? What's your exit plan? Okay. They get caught up in EBITDA, but I'm interested in how it personally fulfills them. What's going on there. Okay. Great conversation. And, ultimately it's a great question to ask a CEO. So if you're one of the guys out on the streets and you're sitting there with your CEO and, hey, I'm just curious because it really hasn't been explained to us. What is the vision? What's your vision for this company? Where do you see it going? Where's it going to be in 10 years? What is your future state? All right. What's your exit strategy? All right. Maybe I want to participate in the exit strategy. Maybe your vision is to build this company up to $40 million and then sell it to Best Buy.
Right.
Maybe that's it. I want to participate. Mr. CEO, how can I participate in that? Because when a company sells, it's going to be worth more money than it is now. Right. And since I'm putting so much work into it, I would like to benefit from that. So how do I get in that position, Mr. CEO? Okay. At least when you bring your mission, vision, and values to your prefrontal lobe instead of sitting back in your subconscious, it changes the way you think.
Yeah.
It changes how you look at things. It changes, we talk about in the workshop, I'll let a little bit out. We're going to be talking about how you select your business partners, how you select your strategic partnerships, how you select your vendors, how you select your employees. Bring that down to a personal level. My mission, vision, and values personally is going to impact who I hang out with. Who do I want to work with? Who do I want to work for? Who are my friends on the weekend? Who's my girlfriend? Who am I selecting for a wife?
Yeah.
Who am I selecting for a husband? I think the biggest thing that marriages can use is a little bit mission, vision, values work. Do your mission, vision, values align? That's a great place to start. I learned that over 30 years and 3 divorces. Okay, so I don't mind putting that out there. I learned from banging my head against the wall, and that's what we want to do. Because over 35 years, Kim, 30 years, Will, 20 years, we've all been banging our heads and we figured this stuff out. Okay, so we can take 30 years, well, over 100 years of our learning experience and compress it down into 7 hours. So value, ton, right? Get 30 years worth of learning in 7 hours. So yeah, I just think it translates into so many areas, and that you can, understanding yourself, you can understand how to bring these conversations into play.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, Paul. I'll go into this story because I think it's apropos. I remember working with a Fortune 50 company, and I had the privilege of sitting with the CEO of this major financial firm, and it was just an open town hall basically. and his real team within the division was there, and he said, let's open it up. I don't care if it's the AV guy who has questions, like let's, full transparency, like let's do it. And it's one of the many reasons why I love Tiger, because it takes tenacity, right? You just need to have the courage, and you need to just raise your hand and ask that question. And I said to him, at the time we were in South Florida, and I said to him, Mr. CEO, my name is Will Figueroa. I work on such and such project. I'm proud to be here, da, da, da. I said, but one of the barriers that I see to us really innovating and really taking the lead on winning these projects and these new products in the market, I said, is internal. I said, just 3 hours north of us, we're landing rockets backwards from space. And these guys and these gals that are in these engineering rooms, some of them are self-taught. Why do we still have an education barrier, a formal education barrier, in order to hire? And there was a hush, and there was a roar of clapping. And he laughed, and he said, it's a great question, and you're 100% right. He said, I went to school, and there is nothing that I use today to run this company. Nothing. He says, my CFO barely got their bachelor's. My CMO, was business to business and worked her way up, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, you are absolutely right. He said, but we do need a process in place. And this is why I love Tiger. And this is one of the many reasons why I genuinely still am in love with the CEO, because he said, there was nothing I want more than for the janitor to be on the executive board.
Right.
We need to get them in the door. So more than anything, refer people because our people are the right people. We vet the right people. Mm-hmm. And as long as we continue to trust our people, then we need to trust who they refer. So 100% get your referrals in. We absolutely want that innovation. We want to bring those people in, because if our people are bringing their people, then they're aligned with our mission, vision, and values.
That's right.
And I love that. And this is coming from a major Fortune 50 company. We're talking trillions of dollars in exchange in this financial firm. It really is phenomenal. And from an employee, right, or from a vendor perspective, I can't tell you how amazing that made me feel. I cannot tell you how inspired that made me feel. Not only that I became an inspiration for others in the courage and the tenacity, but that in his generosity, because he didn't have to tell me that he didn't use his college degree. In fact, he continued to explain that he worked his way up in business, starting from being the box boy at Bloomingdale's.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't do. He's like, yeah, did I go to school? Yeah, I went to school. That was to appeal to my parents.
Right.
That was because when I growing up and going into business, that was the requirement. Today, you're absolutely right. The education is out there. It's online. It's in your hand. It's in your pocket. And we need to streamline that in not only internally to our organization, but we need to be able to do that with our customers as well, with our clients as well. And I can't tell you how amazing that made me feel. And then, fast forward however many years, we end up saving just a single department of the firm. It was like $2 million year over year, hundreds of thousands of dollars saved month over month. And it was because we were inspired. It was because we were aligned. It was because we understood the vision and the values of the organization as a whole. So whether you're an employee or whether you're a medium-sized to large-sized business where you're just about to hire, or maybe you're vendoring out. Are you on Fiverr? Are you on Upwork? And you're bringing people in and you're just tired of not getting the quality, not getting the results, not getting the things that you want? It's because they're not aligned. And I would encourage anyone watching to head on over to clevelandrain.com/toxic. That's clevelandrain.com/toxic to really invest in yourself. In the grand scheme of things, it is nothing in comparison to the expensive bill that would be for any toxic asshole and expensive employee. You'd be saving money coming to this workshop and aligning yourself. And I know that in my experience as an employee, I made it a point to save money. I made it a point to make sure that we can sell more. I made it a point to double down, triple down, and really 10x efforts within our unit and our department because we were aligned. So speaking as an employee, speaking as a vendor, speaking as a small business owner myself, what you're going to get out of this workshop, it's going to save you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over time, especially if you're actively hiring or you're on these, gig sites where you're trying to find the right people. There is some amazing wisdom that cumulatively between this team here that we've put together that, quite honestly, I think any Harvard professor would approve of, hands down. So, I mean, that's my pitch. Kim, what are your thoughts? And we'll go around the room here.
I think you're spot on. I'm tongue-tied. I don't know that I need to say anything more. I mean, we just believe in it. We live it. We've seen it work. So many examples of what you talk about, and you still talk so highly about that company. And, I'm just seeing, I just had a company that I was with has 700 openings, 100 people they had an interview with. Of the 100, 10 fit the mold. Of 10 that fit the mold, they offered 4 people jobs. What is wrong there? This major corporation, they don't even know what they're looking for. And it's going to be a continual churning of people. And I think you hit it. People have to be, the tenacity is important. Your inspiration is key. Generosity just makes everyone feel great. Execute it. If they know what they got to do, they execute it. They're aligned with you. And then most definitely this work-life balance rejuvenation makes them even that much more of an employee. So take it away, Paul.
Paul, final thoughts?
Oh, final thoughts. There's so many. I don't even know if I can get them all out. I'm really excited about this process and this project. You mentioned that, it'll save companies, tens of thousands of dollars. And I really want to flip that on its head because I think it's going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in mistakes. Thousands of dollars in mistaken hiring, hundreds of thousands of dollars in mistaking subcontracting work to the wrong organization, hundreds of thousands of dollars in poorly devised strategic partnerships or partnerships. When you start looking through the lens of your mission, vision, and values and start truly applying it to your business relationships, your personal relationships, and how you operate and how you interact with people, both as an employee, as an employer, sidetracking the cute headline to this, it's truly about getting alignment, getting in a place where you can all work towards a single goal and executing on that and feeling fulfilled at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, and at the end of the next 10, and at the end of your exit strategy as an employer or as an employee. So I just really think that becoming mindful of who this is really, ultimately it boils down to know thyself.
Yeah.
Right? Sun Tzu, know thyself. And once you do that and you apply that vision across the board, whether you're an employee or employer, whether you're a housewife, a house husband, whatever it is, once you're looking through that thing, it will really change the way you look at things. Other people.
It will absolutely change your perspective. It will absolutely change the way that you look at things, how you operate. I could speak for, I'll speak for myself as we continue to work together, Paul, and we've spoken about this both on air and off air, how Tiger has affected me both personally and professionally is really second to none. Understanding each section and then being able to ultimately execute against it, right? Has shown dividends in not only my personal life, but in my business. If you are looking, the person who's listening to this, watching this, if you are looking for that same thing, whether it's in your personal life, your professional life, whether you are actively hiring, and to Paul's point, regardless of where you are in the board of your organization or in the map of the organizational structure, this is absolutely worth every moment of your time. It will absolutely be life-changing. So if you want to learn more from Paul, if you want to learn more from Kim, if you want to learn more of what we've put together, please head on over to clevelandrain.com/toxic. Put your name, email, and phone number so that we can ensure that we reserve the seat. This is not a fake urgency. This isn't. There is genuinely limited seating, and there is demand for this.
I'm going to add to that, Will. I know you're going into it, but I just want to make sure that you understand. Limited seating means you will be working individually with each one of us during the course of the day. We can only work with so many people at a time. So this is not, oh my God, there's only 99 seats left. This is truly, we are doing breakout rooms, and we're going to help you through this process, each one of us individually. So we can only handle so many people. So hurry up and schedule in.
That's it. I couldn't have said it any better. We want to make sure that you get truly the white glove service that you deserve for yourself and for your business. With that, I'm so thankful to Kim. Thank you so much for your time, for being here today. It is amazing to have you. We're looking forward to having you on in the future. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, everyone. Have a great one. Take care. Enjoy.